Hey everybody, I'm APH and welcome to Settlement Survival. Now this game released on October 11th and the developer claims in this Banished-inspired city builder, lead a group of survivors in their search for a new home, manipulate the landscape, manage limited supplies, plant crops, hunt wildlife, gather resources, and develop trade routes to build a bustling and unique town. I gotta say, I'm kind of excited about this game. It definitely looks like a Banished kind of clone, brought up to maybe a little bit of speed. I've had a little bit of time over the weekend to kind of dive into it to take a look. So let's kind of introduce it to the channel and see what you guys think. So let's get started with a new game. I do want to go with standard. I'm not ready for sandbox yet. That might come later. They do have Easter Island, which is supposed to be an extreme. That might be something that we take a look at once I'm actually a little bit further into the game. Anybody that knows my actual playstyle, you know that I want big bolstering maps. We'll go for a normal difficulty. I'm not sure that I'm ready for hard or extreme. Yeah, we'll just go with normal. It's kind of still the learning curve for me. Disasters on, and does it actually tell what it is? Okay, amount of actual civs starting and the amount of available resources starting. So that may not be as difficult as I thought, because sometimes starting with less people is actually easier. All right, specials. Special buildings, switch a Rubric's Cube and Goof Off Hero building will now appear in the Blueprint building interface when enabled. We'll enable that. I don't know what that is yet. And I'm looking for, wow, it's actually somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere. I think that's in Russia. It's either Russia or India, looking by it. Not sure that I want to be quite there. I don't have anything against that area. I just am not familiar with the towns or anything around there or what they produce. No, we're in actual South America now. So it does look random, or Africa. Back to South America. This actually looks like a spot that maybe is close to Brazil. Let's name this Coffee Town. And I think that's a good spot to kind of get going. Now, as it kind of generates, I do want to leave the loading screen in there so you guys get a feel for how long it actually takes to load. And then we've got some tool tips down here. So down at the bottom, it says this little mound is fertile soil. It's a fields and forest farms, additional 100%, which is good. The little grassy knoll is grassland. It actually pastures are 100% outpost. The hunting point, to me it looks like a little guy with a helmet on, but I can maybe see that being an animal. It's 100% of getting animal cubs. I think that's going to be where we actually want to go. The little buds is collecting point. It's gather 100%, collecting 100% and gets a plant seed. That's going to be pretty huge. And then fishing, these right here, your fishing docks get 100% actual resources. So if I had a spot, that actually is not bad because we've got 2 guaranteed seeds. This spot, we've got a guaranteed seed and we've got a guaranteed fertility and we've got a guaranteed animal over here. So the circle that's generated is the circle that your main building actually supplies for houses. All houses have to be within the range of it in order to actually sustain. We might come back to this. If I can find a spot that has 2 animals, like right here, another one there. We've got a spot here where we've got an actual fertile and an animal. And we just have some grassy knolls in here. Actually, this spot right here, we've got 2 good spots for pastures, and then we've got 2 gathering spots. And then over here, we've got the fishing. To be honest, that's like probably a really good spot. And in here, because we've got the animals, is a pretty good spot. And then up here, the fact that we've got the actual farming location there, the guaranteed seed there, and the guaranteed cub, the baby animal, makes this spot really tempting. Let's claim this spot. And then we'll kind of go over some of the basics. I would recommend with most survival games of this genre, pause right off the bat. That's going to be pretty important. And we'll go over the interface. We've got kind of our resource, which is nice that they actually include that and don't actually require you to get a specialty building to have it as statistics. Words elude me, where you can actually do job priorities and things. That's pretty key. Goes over the overview, it goes over production, it goes over your stocks, your data charts, as well as which actual foods you have. So we've got grapevines and winter squash. That might actually be pretty good. I haven't seen these ones before. And then you've got your help, which is pretty basic, your menu, your slowdown, which is F1, your pause, which is space, that's pretty typical, and your speed up, which is F2. Then you've got your happiness, your health. Now these do tell you that as the green represents, like right now we're high, so we have work efficiency plus 10%. And it looks like we can actually go to ultra high, and we achieve it through things like the church, the theater, liquid, and what they're referring to with that is beer and spirits. And senior food can increase happiness. I've not got that far into the game to actually unlock things like the theater, candy, or senior food. Then we've got the actual health, and again we're at high. So right now it's strength consumption minus 10%. We can actually get higher through things like a hospital, herbs, soap, and a bathhouse. Then we've got the stress. And I'm not really sure how this plays in, but I know right now it looks like the housing is the biggest thing that's causing stress, and our population's -4, so we're pretty good. And it's a pretty standard start to a game where we've got about 21 people, with 14 of them being adult and 7 being kids. And out of those, we've got 10 workers that are not employed. And then instead of technology, they do something a little bit different. They actually do development. And so development is, we start out with 3 development points, and from there we can kind of place them into some technologies. And getting going, I will say things like the sawmill. So it actually replaces a building with a sawmill, which is more efficient at making domestic fuel than the chopping house. It actually is the upgrade to it. And so we'll grab this because this is going to be pretty important early on to kind of help with the fact that we only have 10 actual people that we can have work. And then looking at our tree over here, I think getting to a forest farm and the ability to unlock actual herbs is going to be extremely, extremely important. So we're going to kind of V-line that, and looking at the apothecary, kind of the leading for that, says requires sand mining to actually make it happen. So we're going to go ahead and unlock sand mining, which looks like it's probably done at the river. And then we're going to go ahead and take the apothecary. There are some quality of life things that you can get, like recycling is 100% actual resources back when you tear apart a building. And construction, it actually reduces the amount of construction that is required, not the amount of resources, just the amount of actual, I guess you could say, hammers to make it happen. And if we look at kind of our basics, we have houses, we've got our actual fields, we've got kind of our gathering production buildings. So this would be like your gatherer, your hunter, your logger, your apothecary, your well, which I think to me usually would go under more of a government type of building, but I can see why they place it there. Then you've got your production buildings, and then your kind of your open house warehouse, and your market, your ferry. So your ferry is how you do trade, and then you've got kind of your actual buildings that represent like your church, your clinic, your repair shop. So it's pretty in depth. Building cabin, the only way you can build is with a building cabin, then your town hall and your school. A cemetery, if people die, they get upset, so you need a cemetery in order to get going. And then roads. I really like that they start with the ability to do stone roads as well as they do stone ground. And with stone ground, you can actually create a big area that is stone. We're not going to do that right now, as that would be kind of a bad thing. But if you wanted to do a 2-wide road somewhere, instead of placing 2 roads, you could do a stone ground and actually create it, as well as they've got bridges and tunnels right off the bat. And then deco galore. This is something that I think a lot of games can actually take into, accommodation for. It looks like I've got a bad arrow there that doesn't actually work, and there is some sorting to kind of make things easier. Ooh, I do like that big barrel. But I digress. And then blueprints. So this is things like an actual castle and a great temple, shelter. I'm not sure what these are quite yet, but we've got the Rubik Cube and the goof off hero. That's interesting. The Ocean Witch, the Sky Witch, and I don't even know how to even say that, so I won't even pretend. But taking a look at our houses, standard 4x4. This is pretty standard for a game. To controls, we'll go over that. WASD, and that's pretty standard. And I do play in windowed mode, so I try not to actually let my mouse hit the edge of the map, as it would actually go off the map. Now, the nice thing about this is it is set up that if I take my mouse off the edge of the actual map, it doesn't actually turn off the music, which is nice, and it doesn't actually stop the game. It's pretty key because I record on a system with one monitor, and it allows me to actually go back and forth and make adjustments in OBS as I kind of, please. So we've got a house and a boarding house just to start with, and in development under, I believe it's quality of life. Later on, we can get a tent, which is a rough house for 3 people. Yeah, we don't really want to do that if we can. And then we get a house upgrade. It looks like it actually makes a luxury residence, and then a villa and an actual luxury boarding house. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how they did this. And they do require resources, and they do actually tell you what they require right off the bat. That's very nice. It did take me a little bit of time to figure out what building kits were, because looking through their tech tree, it wasn't very obvious. And so if you start the game and you get ahead of me, it's in the forge. Kind of a spoiler there. But you kind of got to get the actual furnace burden, then the smelting, and then the actual forge is used to produce steel, glass, and bricks into construction kits and tools. So you actually are required to unlock all of the different things. You can't just be like, I'm going to go straight into compost, into fertilizer, into farming efficiency, because its harvest and sowing speed is 100% faster. You can't just V-line that, hoping that it's all good, because with compost, you actually require animals in order to have dried animal dung for fertilizer. Then you go to the fertilized field. Nice thing about this is you can reduce the amount of farmers you have on a field by half. And a standard field is 8x8, which means once that you have that tech, instead of 2 people, you can get away with 1. And then with tools, you can actually get it to be an 8x12 with, I believe, 1 person. It's actually a really good way of doing kind of that kind of progression, but I keep digressing and getting away because there's a lot to this game, guys. All right, let's build 6 houses and see if it's enough. They do place arrows telling you where the roads are. That's amazing. I love it when games include that. That is something that is pretty huge to me, and we want to kind of work maybe in this direction for the Gatherer's hut. We'll place the Gatherer kind of near that. And the Gatherer itself will go outside of its range, which is pretty common. Yeah, gathering, what does it say? Gathering station. Okay. But we'll try to place it kind of on this roadway. Anybody who watches my channel would know that I suggest putting in rows first. As I like to place things kind of willy-nilly, and the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I've got to delete that. No, nice thing is, until you place upgrades, you can actually remove things. All right, so back to the gathering station. We'll place it kind of right here. That looks like it encompasses that area pretty good. This is our fertile ground, and we do have a seed right off the bat, so we might work that way shortly. And then we'll go to a hunting cabin. Now, the hunting cabin encompasses the whole entire map, so you're not going to see a radius on this. So it's not important to place it kind of anywhere specific. And buildings, you can actually control them by adding a person this way. And just to kind of help get things built quicker, we're going to go ahead and do that. Your people have a lot And I do mean a lot of actual needs. So kind of going over this, we have rough food, which leads into simple and fine foods. And that's kind of something that we're going to go over. I don't think in the first couple episodes, let's speed up time, kind of get things building. We're going to get past that too much. They have a need for water, coffee, coca, and actual black tea. That's amazing. We have medicine. We've got raw materials. It actually shows beverage materials, textile materials, food, raw materials. And a lot of these, like, it goes into a lot. So there is a lot of different drop downs. We've got construction materials, and again, very in depth. We've got ores, which we've got some iron. We've actually got iron over here. We're going to refrain from getting too much as we only have one storage and it's not very big. Let's grab this bit of stone. The black is iron. We'll grab a little bit, as I think the houses do require just a little bit, and we'll need some actual trees. Now these trees over here, the gather actually takes a lot of effect from old growth. So we want to leave as much of that as possible, but we want this area up here. So we're going to go ahead and just highlight that. It does give you the option, a very nice actual way of doing it, where you can click these to actually get it. You can actually get your plants out of an area. So if you're like, oh, we're hungry and we've got laborers, you can send them out to gather. That's perfectly okay. A little bit of getting used to with F1, F2, and F3 or F1 and F2 for speed. And the actual 1, 2, and 3 open up your different building menus kind of across the bottom there, that is kind of interesting. I'm used to playing Kingdoms Reborn, so it's a little bit different for me. Looks like the houses are going together. We are going to need fuel relatively quickly for maintaining, but yeah, all of our houses are now done. They're going to start on the gather, and the next thing on our docket list should be the production for the actual firewood. And we can place it just about anywhere, but we'll try to maybe put a forester down this way. What are these animals? Oh, those are alpaca. That's really good. Yeah, let's do the actual sawmill right there. We'll let that build up, and then we'll kind of go over it. Looks like the gather station's just about done, which will be good, because then we'll have some standard food coming in. We're almost out of water. That's actually terrible. Where was that? In there. Yeah. Let's put that right there. Can't have our people getting. We actually have humans in here, not beavers. So we can't have them getting all sorts of dried out and stuff, which is I'm very accustomed to now being like beavers as I play a lot of Timberborn. This is going. It's good. That's amazing. This area is cleared. We can gather up all of this. That seems like it is a ripe idea. And I like how they kind of do that. It does put an icon over the top saying that it's being gathered. It's nice. I've seen a lot of games where it's just kind of a red dot and you're kind of like, what's going on? All right, there's our actual sawmill. We've got Susan, and if you click on it, something that it doesn't tell you, ooh, no, new development. We just got another point. That's good. We can do 10 timber into domestic fuel, and we can do animal dung into fuel, and that's an absolutely horrible rate, but I mean, at least it gets it out of our actual civilization, and then we can, under the tab, we can make planks. Now, that's not important at the moment as we desperately need the fuel, as we're at 40, and let's go ahead and get this up to, I think, up to 500. I like a good campfire, and it was like 6 degrees when I woke up this morning, so I am in the mood for a good fire. I think the houses look nice. They've got different textures. That's pretty big to me. Something that I can't say enough for games is if they take the time to put different models in, that says they actually care about this, and then you've got some kind of upgrade options in the future, as well as you can upgrade the actual house. I'd recommend not doing the actual building upgrade until you've upgraded to the final level, because when you upgrade it, it actually wipes out these upgrades. Two totally different things. Now, what do we have? We have 18 adults, so we need roughly 9 houses. And we've got 6. That's a problem. We got a development point, and we want to work this way, but I also think that under, I believe it's logistics, yeah. Let's activate the warehouse. That gets me, has the same function as an open house warehouse, but with greater storage. And then it comes in 2 sizes. It comes in an actual warehouse and a small warehouse. I think that's going to be pretty important. And then it leads to the actual durable storage yard, which is the same as the open face, except for a much higher capacity. Let's grab that, and then we're going to put our focus into getting the grove, the nursery, the herbalist knowledge, and the actual farm. This will allow our gatherers to kind of get things. Ooh, what do we have here? All warehouses are full. See, that's why we took a look at that. So we can, I think this is 4x. We can definitely expand that up a little bit. They'll expand that. That's the open face. And that will kind of maintain, yeah, they've got like wood everywhere. Can't stress enough. Always need to have storage. We got our well down. Got our people in there, and what are we at for our actual fuel? Got 40, so not very much. Now, did we get... We did not get a hunter yet. That's going to be fairly big, and we've got 3 homeless. Yeah, let's help them out. It'll get us 8, and we really need 9 in order to have all of our adults actually have their own house. So we'll go ahead and plan those out, and let's do some roads. Now, I do have a good chunk of stone. So probably as we start progressing, and I'm comfortable that you know, we're not going to be out of stone and not need it for actual buildings. I think we're going to just start upgrading these roads because it's very nice. 25% walking speed and 50%. You can actually get it one further through the development. I believe it's under construction, under laid stone. I like that they put the effort into the game to actually do some of that development, some of that kind of different things. What do we have here? We've got agave, which is used for making tequila. We'll look at spirit soon. We've got what do we have? 10 unemployed and new development point. Yeah, let's go ahead and spend that in kind of the actual grove. Said want to work our way that way, so our next 3 points will probably be spent there. We've got our sawmill is producing now, and we should now look at our actual hunter. Let's get our hunting cabin down. Yeah, there's so many. So cool looking the way that they do this. All that mushrooms and everything in there. I really like it, and you can zoom out quite a ways. You can zoom in quite a ways, as well as let's click on Susan. Let's actually put one more person in here just to kind of make sure. If you click on them, you can actually go to the citizen's perspective and kind of watch them work. That's pretty darn nifty. So we won't keep in that, but that's pretty darn nifty. We've got a little bit of tools and a little bit of clothing. So let's put in our actual blacksmith. Let's keep it on kind of this same road. Yeah, we'll place it right there. And what do we have? We've got quite a bit of iron. We've got quite a bit of... Now, it does break it down into different things, but we've got quite a bit of iron, quite a bit of stone. So I think it's time to start placing our actual stone. Ooh, somebody's injured. That changes things a little bit. We need a clinic. I don't know that I want it there. We'll go something like this. And but you have this spot up here. And that's winter squash. That could be actually pretty good for the future. So we'll take a look, and it looks like it's actually dropping down. Yeah, health is a big concern. So it's dropping down kind of that actual happiness. It's driving some stress up. So we'll prioritize this. Now there is an option for prioritize. Yeah, you can increase the priority there. That's pretty cool. And we've got our actual blacksmith. Again, we have to pick. We can do stone tools. We can do our actual iron tools. And as long as we have iron and as long as we have wood, we should do this. It also says that a handy cart, which I believe is actually a bug. I don't think that it's supposed to show that, as if you look at other production buildings, it doesn't show what else is available until you unlock it. So I think that's a little bit of a bug. Still have 8 unemployed people. That's good. We just got our clinic. That will help a lot. And we're in the middle of winter, kind of a nice thing there. And let's plant that field. So you can do a standard, which is an 8x8, or you can draw your own. And since that's boosted, we'll go ahead and draw that. And it says it requires 4 people. That's okay. And we just have the option for winter squash. And it does give you a kind of, description of it. It says vegetables grown in a field, directly edible. It's a rough food. Long time consumption is harmful to the health. So we know that at some point in time we got to get away from the actual raw food. Is kind of the gist of what it's getting at. Let's bring over our road and try to connect this. I don't know that we need 4 workers there. We can probably get away with 3. So we'll drop that down and we'll go ahead and close that off. And then once we get into some other text, we'll look at bringing that down even further. So we'll see how that actually works. The game's pretty efficient where workers are in their actual field even during the winter, so that they're not doing other tasks. So when it hits the actual spring, yeah, we're month 1, we're in January. They actually do what they're supposed to do, which is very nice. I can't say enough about that. 21 adults, so we need a few more houses. I think that we need 2 more in total. Now the game is actually progressing at a fairly good rate, so I'm actually happy about that. With the clinic, our stress went down, and I think we should do something for happiness now. So let's get a church. It's got a pretty big radius, and we'll go on this side, kind of towards our actual gatherer there. And we'll leave, 1 spot there. New development point, and we'll take that. I believe it brings us down to the nursery. We need clay for it, but that gets us to the actual domestic as well as the herbalist knowledge. We'll probably do herbalist knowledge first, because I think we need clay. Yeah, we need clay for the construction of the forest. That's fairly endgame, and it looks like we might have got a seed, but I didn't actually see the pop-up of it. That's a little bit discouraging. So let's see if we can see it in here. Yeah, not seeing it in there, but we can also take a look at our statistics and take a look. Oh, hey, I don't see it in there either. A little confused. Maybe they just haven't brought it in yet, or maybe it was a seed that we already had. That would actually be a huge bummer. And all of our houses are full, so we're kind of good in that aspect. But I think this is actually, as the next spring starts, I think this is a good spot to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Kind of that first look of how the game is. Leave a comment down below what you think of it. And we'll see you. I think we'll do a couple episodes, just kind of explore this to see if it's something that we're going to like. Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you in the next episode.